Hello everyone! Today we're going to be taking a look at my summer car. I've spent a little bit of time in this game and I think it is freaking awesome and I wanted to share that with you. It's a bit quirky and it's going to be for your a little bit more mature audiences, but don't worry, I will try to keep this as family friendly as possible. There will be some cuts, but you're not going to miss anything too terribly important. Let's go ahead and get started on a new game. And I'm going to start us out, since the beginning is very not safe for family enjoyment. Start as soon as I get out of that, and I'll start introducing you guys to the storyline. But before we make that cut, I'm going to type in my name. Oh, it would help if I spelled it right. There we go. That's gonna be my name in game, and off I go. And we're in. So to get you guys acquainted with the storyline, the year is 1995. We are in Finland. It is a Monday, and this is a playthrough that is a permadeath series. Now, I'm gonna be tweaking that just a touch in case something happens that I just can't recover from, because I really want to show you guys the story more than I really want to keep with the permadeath bit. So we're going to start out with a tour of the house. Actually, we're not going to start with a tour of the house. We're going to start with this letter here. It says, "Don't be lazy. Fix your dad's old car. Uncle's blue van can be loaned. Don't drink alcohol. We will come back when we get bored. Yours, Mom and Dad." So with the case of beer on the table and the sausages, we're totally going to ignore the "don't have beer" part. And it's going to be a huge part of the game, because it is a portable way of having your food and drink with you. Because drinking beer in game gives you it takes away some of your hunger, which is nice. So the house that we've been left in is this one. There's the little blue van. There's the car that we're going to be fixing. And as you can tell already, it's going to be an adventure in and of itself. There's some car parts out here. Here is a moped, so they call it. It looks like a little 50cc bike, which is nice. It drives a bit better than you would think for a 50cc bike. Let's go ahead and open up the garage, kick on the light, and take a look at what we have. So, right along the right-hand side are the larger pieces of the car. Down here we've got a couple of the other more important pieces, but more internal. And we've got everything from spark plugs to pistons to head gaskets. And the all-important spanner set. We've got metric sizes all over the place. It goes from, let's see, a size 5 to a size 15. We also have a handy-dandy screwdriver and a socket for spark plugs. We're also going to be able to custom color our car. We've got a light in case we have to work at night. And we've got the suspension parts, the subframe assembly, and some other very important pieces to the puzzle. Now, just to get started, and I would recommend anybody who is getting started do this first, is go ahead. Oh, wait, we need to do a tour. I'm getting ahead of myself. As I come into the house, we've got a mud room, which is for cleaning off your muddy stuff before you track it into the house. We've got a telephone, wired telephone. This made new for some of you guys. In here we've got our bedroom, which is where we do our sleeping. And we've got a parts catalog. So the upgraded parts that we need to get will be found here. We will get a mail order envelope, which is news to a lot of you guys too. It's been so long since the mail order thing has been around, but I'm going to start out with grabbing a ratchet set, which should help me build a bit faster. I selected it, and now if it'll let me grab it, come on. Oh, I'm in tool mode. You use 1 and 2 to go between tool mode and back. And you'll notice the weird movement is the lean that I can do to reach hard to reach things. I'll set this by the phone so I don't forget it on my way out. Here's a map of the town. Important things will be marked with a dart as they come in. You get phone calls for jobs to be done. In here is the restroom and also the place where you go to save. And in here is the master bedroom, so where mom and dad like to stay. We do have a TV. It does work. It's not something I'm going to spend a lot of time doing. It also increases my fatigue. Now back here, as I started to open the doors, you notice we've got a laundry room with our hot water heater. We've got a shower area, which is nice. I need to turn a light on in here. Oh, there we go. And we've got a sauna. The sauna is how we're going to get ourselves clean. It does take some time to warm up, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it on and have it ready to roll. Turn it on nice and hot. And this is definitely not something you would want to do in real life, but I'm just going to leave it running. Once again, something you don't want to do in real life is take beer on the road with you, but that is what we're going to do. In this game, it's kind of important. You have to stay hydrated, as it is in real life important. I'm going to grab this envelope so that I can get my mail order part. Oh, I almost missed. And another very important part to take with you on your first trip to town is this gas can. It is currently empty, and we will have to fill it. Go ahead and open up the door, move the envelope, get the things out of the way of the pedals. Yeah, getting a little tongue-tied here. My mouth is drying out. Things like that happen. Let's close up the doors and let's head into town. If it'll let me close up the doors. There we go. There's a bit of a weird thing with the right click and the left click. One thing means one thing, one means the other. Let's get into driving mode, because we want to get on the road and we want to get on the road real quick. So ignition is over here, kick it on, and this is a diesel vehicle with, I do believe, a carburetor. Go figure. Everything in this game is very old school. Like I said, it takes place in 1995. And in an old diesel like this, you have to kick on the ignition until that light that you just saw go out goes out. That means it is warmed up and ready to start. There we go, and we're off. Gotta... Whoop. Oh, that's not cool. There we go. Got to take off the handbrake so that we can get moving. Rev it. You notice we're in neutral. Need to fix that. Hit the G key and off I go. I am on the road now. Whoa. As most manual transmission cars go, if you give it too much gas in the first gear, it will start to spin out on you. One quick side note before we head into town is there's a tractor and a trailer over there and a septic tank truck, which we will be getting into later. Those are some of the ways that you can make money in game, and that's very important because you want to make your car the best car possible. And this may take a moment, but I'm going to show you the best way to get into town. So here we go. We are at the railroad track. Hopefully we don't get run over. Normally I would say you absolutely have to drive like a sensible human being to survive, but I've never once looked for a train. I've never been hit by a train, but that's not to say it's never going to happen. This is our first turn after leaving the house. We've got two options. We can take a right to the town or take a left to the town. I typically go left here. It takes a little bit longer distance-wise, but it's definitely easier to drive this way, and it's a lot less confusing. Whoa, 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 whoa! Trying to drive like a sane human being and it just ain't working. This corner, it gets me every time. So especially when you're playing a permanent death version of this game, and there was a checkbox to turn it off of permanent death, you absolutely have to pay attention to speeds and corners and things. On this van in particular, it comes from before there were actually anti-lock brakes on everything. Hang your first right after that other turn. And then we're going to hang a right onto the highway up here as soon as we get up here. You may get blindsided by somebody coming down the road, and there's not a whole bunch you can do about that. I like to swing into the wrong lane first, just in case, and then I'll work my way over into my lane. Anyway, like I was saying, anti-lock brakes. They weren't always a thing. If you hit the brakes, the wheels lock up, period. You just keep sliding. And this thing's primary brakes are on the front. So if you go into a turn and you're braking and you just hit the brake and you hold it, you're just going to keep going in the direction you were going before. You will not turn. That's just anti-lock brake, the lack of anti-lock brakes right there. I can pretty much go top speed down this highway. There's, I think, one exception, maybe two, where the curve just gets to be a bit much. And I find most of the time I will do my braking by just letting off of the throttle or downshifting gears. Let the engine slow the vehicle down. Those of you who drive a manual shift transmission have some idea already. We started oscillating, which means I was going a bit too fast. It's just something that happens. In older cars like this, this suspension wasn't quite as tight, so something like that is more likely to happen. If you're in a properly tuned vehicle, especially nowadays, that's not really a thing. But this is a large box van. It is tall, it is wide, and it is very light, meaning the wind just pushes it around super easy. And when you're going over bumps, the bumps tend to hit it a bit harder because of how light it is. If and when we get this thing loaded down, it's going to be a lot smoother and a lot nicer to drive. This right here is that curve I was talking about. If you approach it with too much speed, because it gets sharper as you go, which is probably the worst type of curve you can imagine. And you see I got a little bit loose right here. If you don't pay attention, you will go off the rails very quick and you will die. And in a permanent death game like this, not fun. Even if you have permanent death turned off, a lot of times when you crash, your vehicle will stay out there. So you've got no way to get back home get back out there to your vehicle, which may be the only vehicle you've got out. I like to make a habit of carrying that moped with me when I go somewhere, just in case I need to get around. If something happens to my vehicle, like it breaks down, or I just need to get somewhere that my vehicle won't fit, that's the way to do it. Oh, too fast again, too fast. Over 100 kilometers an hour, it starts acting up quite a bit. Oh, and it looks like we're already getting very close to town. And don't forget to downshift. There we go. I hadn't hit the brakes until just now. There we go. I survived. We're still over half a tank, so I don't think we're going to need to fill up the vehicle just yet. But I definitely do still want to fill up that other gas can. Okay, let's go ahead and cut her off. Get out of driving mode, kick open the door, and I need to reach in here, grab the gas can, drop it so I can pick it up in the proper manner. There we go. Rotate it to where it's level. Then I can drop it. Okay, let's close that door. Don't need that open. This is regular old gasoline, which is what it's going to take to fill this up. Tap that F key, open her up, and she'll go ahead and start filling up. Do not try to put diesel in the gas can, and do not try to put gas in the diesel vehicle. Bad things happen when you do that. It's going to make your day terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I haven't tried it on the custom-built vehicle, but in real life you'd have to drop the fuel tank and all kinds of unpleasantness. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and open that up because, well, I don't want to have to deal with it later. And into the only store in the game, the only store in the, I guess, county? Yeah.
Tervetuloa kun sinäkö se vaan olitkin?
Yeah, the community is so small, everybody knows everybody. While you're here, make sure you pick up a fan belt. Pick up some clutch fluid. Pick up some coolant. I haven't found a use for a fire extinguisher, and I'm not entirely sure how much oil my vehicle takes, so I'm grabbing 2 of those. 2-stroke fuel, because, well, 2-stroke fuel. That flame that you heard around me, that was a mosquito. Need to grab some mosquito repellent. There's some other really cool stuff that you can pick up while you're here, some things that you can put together. We'll get to that later. But I'm going to go ahead and buy a whole bunch of pizza and at least a couple of sausages and all the beer. Now, he's got me rung up for my total so far.
Joo, nähdään tuosta. Morjes.
But I need to get my letter so I can get my mail order stuff in. There we go. That'll work. And I should have most of what I need to get going. And this is probably the least amount of money you can get by with here on the beginning. Yeah, it just kind of comes out as a mess. This bag here is going to be my food. I can stick that in the front seat. Oh, and it's raining. That's not going to be fun. Let's go ahead and grab the beer. Ah, it's raining. There we go. There's one. There's 2. And as neatly as I want to stack it, it's not going to be like that when I come back in. There we go. When I get back to the house, it's just going to be all in disarray. Because that's just... stuff rolls around. Luckily enough, they are very tightly packed into these boxes and should not break. At nighttime, this store is not open. So you got to come by during the normal operating hours, which are pretty much daylight hours. After dark, there's a cafe, bar, whatever, over on the side. It's a multi-purpose place, like you're going to find in any small town, or very, very small town. You're going to find a lot of shops that do double duty. It's this, that, and or the other. Motor oil. Now, inevitably, I am going to forget something, and I'm going to have to make another trip up here, and it's going to have to be relatively soon after we get started. But I think this is going to give us a pretty good start anyway. Just a note, if you do actually get stranded, there is a hitchhike option. You pull out your thumb, start to hitchhike, and then you get carried somewhere. Once you get to the place you want to get out, you throw out your hitchhike thumb again, and it should allow you to hop on out. There's not much notable in town, but I will try to show you some of the more notable places, including this store that we're currently in. If you do get stuck out here, I believe... Yeah, he's about to close the store. It's getting kind of late. There's a bus stop, which I do believe you can fall asleep on that bench. Over here is the pub. And around back is the outhouse. There you go. We can save and quit the menu there, but I'm not going to do that just yet. And I seem to be very thirsty. Could have bought things other than beer in the store there, but I didn't. So it's going to be beer or nothing. There we go. Oh. Ah, there we go. Grab a beer. Yeah, we don't want that getting under the pedals though. Door is shut. Kick on the ignition. All is good. Oh no. Yeah, I find sometimes pumping the gas comes in really handy. There is a radio. The radio does work. In my opinion, there's nothing that I particularly care for listening to on the radio. This bus does not have wipers. There we go, out of the rain. It should be good. It does, however, have lights, which do come in handy. Over on our left, that's where you go to start the rally race. It's also the dump and some other things. I just figured I'd mention that as we pass it on our way back. If you do find yourself having to brake fairly hard, make sure you do it in a straight line, not a turn, because you will, like I said, straighten out that turn pretty quick. And I figured it's worth mentioning that the road back there, the highway, speed limit is 80. There are police, they are radaring, and they will nail you if you happen to go too fast. Let's see. Did I turn too early? I have a feeling I turned too early. We'll find out in a moment. Oh, I remember this corner. We definitely didn't turn too early. It almost killed me again. If I wasn't paying attention and knew it was coming, it would have. Don't get discouraged if you don't quite survive the trip. The first, second, or even third times. It took me several tries to get it right. And you learn the roads. If you already knew these roads, it wouldn't be a big issue. It would just be secondhand knowledge to you. You grew up on these roads like these folks did, it wouldn't even be a thing. So 60 kilometers an hour, it's really not that fast, but it feels fast in a game that's got driving this hard. It's definitely hard mode. If you have a wheel, use the wheel. Here we go. And we're going to play chicken with the train. And we survived. Ha ha! I have survived every time. Like I said, I haven't actually run into the train, but I have seen it. I know it's there. Okay, and we're back home. We made it safely, and we are healthy. We are happy. We are not dead, most importantly. Let's see how the groceries fared. Yep, they all fell over exactly like I expected. go ahead and start unloading stuff. Go ahead and pack this back where it came from. But this time it's full. I think I'm going to do the same with the other stuff. Oh man, it's going to bother me if that doesn't sit up straight. If you're OCD, just don't even try. Because this game has some very strange physics. Okay, so something of note just happened. My thirst gauge has reached full red. That's not good. If I let that go too long, I will in fact die. And this is permadeath. Also, the phone is ringing. Kind of want to go take care of that. Be aware there may be some language. Somebody wants some firewood, and as that happened, a dot appeared on the map. That dot tells me where it is and where I need to go. There is no "you are here" though, so it does take a bit of an adventure to find it the first time, but once you found it, it's not half bad. Let's take care of that thirst in the best way possible. Speaking of the best way possible, you can turn on the tap here and lean in. You see the thirst go down as I get in the flow of the water. That is the recommended way to take care of your thirst if you do not choose to drink beer. Over here in the sauna is another way. Just get under the tap here and your thirst goes away. While we're in here taking a look at the tap, let's take a brief look at the sauna. This bucket here is empty. Gotta fill it up. Just set it there under the flow and it will fill. Okay, and that should take care of it. Grab the bucket. Drop it back where it came from. Grab the dipper, press F so I actually hold it. Close the door, don't want to let all the heat out. It is quite hot in here. Grab some water. Aim for the drop, not the way that you would normally aim. You gotta aim for it kind of behind the curve. If you don't, you miss. And you'll notice my dirtiness gauge is going down each time I hit the sauna. Yeah, so I'm not going to waste your time on all of that. I'll come back next time I need a bath and show you just a little bit more. Actually, surprisingly enough, the food does not spoil in this game. So when we do get our frozen pizzas out, we don't have to be too terribly careful about keeping them in the fridge. They will still nourish us whether we do or not. I do believe there's a closet very nearby that's going to be my best candidate for a place to keep stuff like that. It's not going to be super organized. It may be super organized by the time you rejoin me, but I'm not going to spend all of your time just organizing stuff on a shelf or on the floor or wherever it ends up. Let's go ahead and grab that. And there's a very... Oh, stuck in the wall. There's a special room right here. I do believe it was intended to be the pantry. I mean, it's got stuff there. But I can't just stick a bag in there. Actually, this is going to get messy. So I'm going to do the fancy lean through a thing to open it. There we go. See, it just kind of exploded. And out of these things, let's go ahead and open that up. I need the fan belt. That's an absolute must-have. There we go. Stick it over there next to... Whoa. That was a little disorienting. Grab the brake fluid, which is also clutch fluid, and toss that over there. Yeah, I know it's kind of cheaty leaning through walls and stuff, but it was designed that way on purpose because sometimes there are just some things that you just can't reach unless you lean through it. That is the nature of the game. Let's go ahead and shut that. Take one of our coveted cases of beer and put it within easy reach in here. There's a nice empty spot on the shelf right there for that. I'm going to stash a couple of these places so that I always have something to drink within reach, because it is, like I said, a serious issue. Drop that there. Probably going to put one in the fridge too. Could have, should have opened the door while I was in there. And I'm for sure going to leave one in the vehicle, because you don't want to get halfway across the map and realize I've left all of my drinks somewhere else. Okay, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that at all. I'm going to put that up there, open the door, and then bring the next one in. Because who doesn't like a nice frosty beverage? There we go. There we go. Oh, come on. You can fit in a little bit better than that. There we go. Got one in the fridge for when we want a nice cold one. And this one will be reserved for another vehicle should we get one. There we go. Haha! As organized as it's going to get for now. Now, on to the car. The primary focus of this game. And I hate to be a tease, but we're not going to complete it today in this session. This episode is getting kind of long, and I really showed what I wanted to show for this episode. I will get more in depth in how to build the engine and stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and get you started with this teaser. You start with the block. You start with it upside down, and you got to throw in that camshaft, a crankshaft. Camshaft too, just not first. There we go. You see the little check mark that showed up? That's how you know it's in the right spot, or close enough for it to snap to. There we go. Stick that on there. Oh, and I just passed it. It was in the easy to reach place, and I did not reach there. Now, this isn't magic. It doesn't automatically stick itself in there. And I think that's a 8. Nope, that's not an 8. It's either 7s. 7's a good standby. It really is. If you have to guess, it's probably a 7. If it's not a 7, just work your way up or down. It's kind of in the middle on the sizes, and I'm using my mouse scroll wheel to screw these in. I have to do that with everything. If I don't do that to every single bolt, bad things will happen. Especially when we make it over to the carburetor. I can be running too rich or too lean and break stuff. Let's go ahead and stick these in there. Probably the most glamorous bits. And I gotta flip it over. Not really a surprise. I should have seen that coming, because I've built this like 5 or 6 times now. And that's all because I didn't know how to drive in the game yet. And I would get to a certain point where I needed to go get something else, and I would die on the way to the store. And since I had it in permadeath mode, didn't know there wasn't a permadeath mode, I'd have to start all over from a half-complete engine. Just nuts. Just doing the exact same thing over and over and over. Come on. There we go. It's starting to look good. It is. It is, it is, it is. And we are just now getting started. Something I wish they would add in is the ability to paint the engine, because a rusty old blue engine is just not very appealing. And there's always somebody calling at the worst times. At least it's not storming. Those of you that don't know, back in the old days, if you answered a phone while it was storming, a landline, you could get shocked.
Ai
They
niin,
fixed
ja
that pretty quick,
likakaivo
though.
olisi ihan täyttä ase tosseks putsailemaan sen.
There we go. We have a second job available now, and that is pumping sewage. I do believe that's how we're gonna. Yeah, that's the primary way that we're going to finance our vehicle. Pumping sewage is a nasty, nasty job, but somebody's got to do it, and that somebody is going to be us. Let's go ahead and flip her back over, and we are going to continue this build later in the next episode. We are going to have a nice rally car here very soon. I hope you enjoyed watching this, because I know I enjoyed making it for you, and I will catch you on the next one.